Cable theft, of course, a major concern to the country's economy, according to the South Africa Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Listen to these numbers. It costs South Africa between 5 and 7 billion rand every single year. The city of Johannesburg alone, COJ, has lost nearly 200 million rand in the last 5 years due to cable theft and vandalism. That's not to talk about the chaos it causes when the lights actually go out outside of the blackouts. So let's talk about this. Energy and political analyst at Tshepo Kgadima joining us this morning. Hello to you, Tshepo. Good to have you back on eNCA. I'm sure you would have heard what the president had to talk about last night, the power crisis, the power plan. A lot of talk about money coming in from IPPs and budgets for critical infrastructure. What did you make of what the president said about securing our infrastructure? Did he say enough? Good morning.
Good morning to you and good morning to the viewers of eNCA. No, the president didn't go enough. In fact, I think the so-called power plan that he delivered last night, I found it to be inherently fantastic, meaning I didn't know whether to laugh or to cry. I think as it goes to measures of whether he said enough about stopping or bringing to an end cable theft that is rampant now, and which is destroying our economy because that infrastructure is so critical to the functioning of this economy. He has no measures at all. I would have thought that by now, the National Assembly should have been considering a bill which should become law to outlaw or to regulate rather the trading in any second-hand copper. And that is, they just hasn't gone far enough. And as a result, I think we are going to continue to suffer, and more so because the so-called plan that the president delivered last night is going to exacerbate load shedding. Now, whenever you have load shedding, and Eskom so willingly announces the schedule of load shedding ahead of time, you are giving the copper cable thieves a head start on where to go and attack the distribution infrastructure. So if anything, from that plan, I fear that we are going to see the worst. We are going to see the worst in terms of this cable theft and many other things. So I would have thought that by now we should have had a bill in Parliament, and that should have been expeditiously processed and for it to be promulgated. Copper is over $7,000 now, and here we are as a country are exporting so much copper, and yet we produce very little of it.
Give me a sense then as to why this hasn't been promulgated in Parliament as yet. The political analyst hat for a moment. What's the hold-up? Because it sounds easy enough from the way you're explaining it. The cable theft affecting us all the time. Why isn't this being expedited?
Well, part of the problem is that, in Parliament you have to ask, well, which one of the persons who are members of Parliament actually knows and understands the issues of energy security, the issues of economic nature, and why we need to actually have macroeconomic policy that can enable us as a country to be a developing nation and soon to become a developed nation. And the answer is that not many of them can actually comprehend. It is unfortunately above their pay grade, and this is the result of the type of members of Parliament we sent to Cape Town. And I think there has to be a rethink in 2024, because there's a whole raft of laws that should have been promulgated. For example, you have now Cabinet being so gung-ho even about the breakup of Eskom, and yet they forget that there is a Eskom Conversion Act of 2003, or 2001 rather, which they should have by now amended in order to give effect to the so-called unbundling of Eskom. On the other hand, we have got endless load shedding. We've got a problem, a crisis in terms of the oil prices, which have resulted in high fuel costs, therefore having a devastating impact on the economy.
Tshepo, speak to me very quickly. While it has this devastating impact on the economy, there's no doubt they're seeing the blackouts, which thankfully for the moment have been suspended. You spoke about this potential law that should come into place regarding the copper and the selling of copper. Just very briefly, laws are one thing, aren't they? But you and I both know if we don't implement the laws and act on that, it won't make the world of difference. Do we have the resources to act on a law like that, were it to come into place?
Well, we need to go beyond just promulgating the law. We need to make sure that the law enforcement agencies are attuned to this threat to our economy, that our courts are filled with members of the judiciary that understand that they can be able to expeditiously prosecute, or rather preside over cases that are brought before them, and that the court role is not congested as it currently is. So yes, we have to go beyond promulgation of laws. We have to make sure that the whole value system is attuned, and I don't see that right now. I don't hear the right words from the Minister of the Police or from the Commissioner of Police that they fully understand these economic crimes and their impact, and therefore the courts themselves. I don't think that amongst the members of the judiciary we have enough judges that have gone to look at what is the best case law that is applied, comparative law, that they can be able to apply in our country to ensure that economic crimes are punished.
And this is why we spoke to you as well, to help us take the conversation forward and look at it from a different perspective. Tshepo Kgadima, thank you very much, energy expert and political analyst, joining us here on the South African Morning.